Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Official visit season is here. It's that time of the year where we as Tennessee fans, we really start to panic. We freak out, and maybe sometimes rightfully so, right? A kid takes a visit, comes out on a high, a quote comes out, Tennessee was once the leader, now they're not. And I think it may be worse for us with this class of 2025 because it's a little back heavy for Tennessee. No official visits this weekend. They got a handful of guys coming in this upcoming weekend, more June 14th, more June 21st than there is early in the month. So a lot of these kids that Tennessee was leading for, Tennessee was high on, or taking other official visits, they're coming out on those highs and they're putting out quotes, and we are starting to panic. Rightfully so? I don't know. We'll talk about it. You know, a lot of the themes, a lot of the narratives out there around Josh Heupel is that he can't close. You got to be able to close. He's got to close on these 25 guys. So many times, right, we're the leader going into it, but then Tennessee, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Can they close? They closed on Nico. They closed on Mike Matthews, George McIntyre, Arian Carter, Jordan Ross. They've closed on some guys, but for every one of the Nicos, every one of the George McIntyres, I can also name Francis Mauigoa. I can name a Williams Winery. You got to get your fair share. There's some bad news coming out of the weekend. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see if it's really time to panic. But I need you guys to do the YouTube stuff for me. Make sure you smash the thumbs up just below the video. It is quick, it is free, it is easy, and it does help this channel. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're talking about the news coming out of the weekend. That's what we do here for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Going to be live tomorrow night. The last live stream ever in the original Talkin VAWLS studio. You can see the walls are empty. The floors are empty. There's nothing in this room other than a gaming PC and this monitor. So tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, the last stream in this studio. Then we're going to be moving to the new house. Hope you guys will come hang out. We'll talk some Tennessee football. Always a good time, but let's get on to it. Let's get into the news. Let's talk about what went down this weekend. Here's one tweet. You can see Chad Simmons put out, Charles House took his visit to Alabama this weekend. His time in Tuscaloosa shook his list of favorites up. Now, Charles House, according to On3, 4-star defensive lineman, the On3 industry rankings have him as a 3-star, 6'3", 300 pounds, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is, you know, when I talk about rankings and people want to say 3-star you and all that garbage, Alabama is pushing for Charles House. Coach Garner is pushing for Charles House. Are you worried about a 3-star or a 4-star, or do you trust that Rodney Garner can evaluate talent? Coming out of the visit to Alabama this weekend, Charles House said their message to me was that they want me there. They made me feel like I'm supposed to be there. They made me feel like I had been there for months, the way we were with everybody and hanging out. He said this did help Bama. I leave this visit with them at the top of the list now, and they have set the standard high. Now, Charles House is a guy that Tennessee's been pretty much the clear-cut leader for throughout the recruitment. Tennessee offered in September of last year, dropped his top 6 of Georgia, Miami, Florida, Florida State, LSU, and Tennessee. Felt more like a Tennessee-Georgia battle leading up to this visit with Alabama, but again, he comes out of the weekend saying that Alabama is the clear-cut leader. He was in Knoxville for Junior Day back in February. He was in town again for the orange and white game. Every time he's on Rocky Top, Tennessee is the team to beat. He's going to visit Georgia next weekend, Tennessee on June the 14th. He'll make his decision on June the 22nd, and I think something to keep an eye on, something to watch as we go through all the news from the weekend of Tennessee targets. Again, no visits this weekend, so all the guys that we're recruiting are on other campuses. And if you follow the story here, Tennessee gets the final visit going into the decision from Charles House. Let's talk about some more bad news. It's all doom and gloom, right? That's all I'm seeing on Twitter, all I'm seeing in my DMs. Everybody's in panic mode. Well, this one stung just a little bit. Georgia made a big move on 4-star safety Shady Hayward, 6'1", 196, out of Lyons, Georgia. He's just outside the top 100 according to the On3 industry rankings. But you guys know we've had Shady Hayward on the show before. He says he's the best player in the country. He is the best safety in the country. Love his mindset. Love his attitude. This is from On3 Recruit. Says Tennessee was one of the top going into the weekend for top 100 safety Lagonza Hayward. But the Bulldogs closed the gap in a major way, he tells Chad Simmons. Now we go look at the quote. The actual quote from Shady Hayward said, Georgia made a big move. Didn't really know how Georgia felt about me before the visit, but they showed a lot of love all weekend. They showed me I am wanted. Georgia moved up on my list. Now, what has he said about Tennessee? I mean, he's come, spoke publicly about Tennessee being the clear-cut leader throughout his recruitment, coming out of the 865 Live event, right? He was just in town not too long ago. He said, hey, I'm just here to help Tennessee recruit. Now, Georgia is the one team that a lot of people have had their eyes on. That's the team that kind of scares Tennessee fans a little bit. But again, after that Georgia visit, said I'm still aiming for a commitment later this summer. I just have to take the rest of my official visits and see how I feel. Georgia showed me a lot this weekend. Tennessee is a great school too. Now, again, the official visit. Follow the story. Going to South Carolina next weekend, Florida. After that, and then he will wrap things up with an official visit to Tennessee going into that decision. Wants to make a decision later this summer before he heads into his senior season of football. So again, coming off the visit to Georgia, he's feeling the Georgia love. He says Georgia's moving up the list. I still like Tennessee. I like where Tennessee is at with the recruitment of Shady Hayward, a guy that, man, we've had on the channel. If you missed that interview, go back, give it a watch. Shady, a good kid, fun to talk to. He loves violence. He chooses violence. That's one of the things I like about his game. Let's continue. The doom and gloom. The sky is falling. Josh Heupel can't close. Josh Heupel can't recruit. Everybody is in panic mode. Four-star defensive back Onis Konanbanny says Florida State is now his number one school. Do you guys see a theme here, right? Onis Konanbanny, four-star corner, 6'2", 170 out of South Carolina. Again, 865 Live. Onis Konanbanny in town on Rocky Top said Tennessee was the flat-out leader. Now he takes an official visit to Florida State. It's official visit season. These guys are riding the highs and the lows, the emotional roller coaster of getting shown all the love on these official visits. Coming out of the visit to FSU, he said everything. The way I was treated, the way I was prioritized, I've never thought a head coach would spend that much time with me. Coach Norvell just never left my side. He was right there with me. Everything stood out. Again, Onis Konanbanny, a guy that said Tennessee was the clear-cut leader not too long ago. But guess what? Let's lay out the story. Let's continue to lay out the story for you guys. He's got official visits at North Carolina on June the 7th, Penn State the following weekend, and then he will wrap things up at the University of Tennessee on June the 21st, rolling into his decision. So again, we're seeing a theme here. Charles House feeling the love. Shady Hayward feeling the love. Onis Konanbanny feeling the love. But guess what? They're going to feel that love when they come back to Knoxville. They're going to see what Tennessee is all about, and they're going to get a nice reminder of what it feels like to be at the University of Tennessee. Are you concerned? Are you worried as we roll through? Those were the three big names out there that everybody was concerned about, everybody was worried about. Boogie, are you seeing this? Shady loves Georgia. Are you seeing this? Onis Konanbanny to Florida State, Charles House to Alabama. The sky is falling. Josh Heupel can't close. Let's just pump the brakes. Let's take a deep breath, and let's see how this rest of the summer plays out. Now we're going to flip it over. We're going to take the other side of this thing, and that is a guy that I just cannot get a grasp on, and that is five-star offensive lineman Josh Petty. Top 25 guy. You see there the On3 industry rankings. 6'4", 265 out of Georgia. Grew up a Tennessee fan, right? You remember not too long ago, a month or so ago, Austin Price tweets out. He says, don't count Tennessee out of this thing, yet he grew up a Tennessee fan. Austin Price commented on this yesterday, said that FSU is the perceived front runner as of right now, but I firmly believe a strong visit next weekend could change that. He will be in town this upcoming weekend. Got a handful of guys going to be in town. Josh Petty is the main event. He goes on to say that Petty really wants to play with David Sanders, as those two know each other pretty well. Now, that makes me raise an eyebrow, but Austin Price has continued to say it. Feels good about where Tennessee is at with David Sanders, but we're hearing a lot of guys that want to play with David Sanders are now keeping their eye on Tennessee. We hear it here with Josh Petty. We heard it with four-star interior offensive lineman Nick Moore, a guy that Tennessee was a little late to the party on, really clicked and hit things off with David Sanders at 865 Live. Now he's a guy that's trending to Tennessee. So you start to feel like David Sanders, Tennessee are in a good spot with each other. Just last week, Steve Wiltfong on Josh Petty said Florida State is the industry favorite, but Stanford is certainly one of the programs we are watching. He also says Georgia Tech, Ohio State, Auburn, Tennessee, and Oregon are some of the others in the thick of it for Petty, who is the number 2 interior offensive lineman. This is what Josh Petty had to say. He said, I'm just hoping to make a decision before the season. That is ideal for me, but if not, I will take more time. Where I go, I want to be loved for it to be right. I want there to be love on both ends. I'll say the same thing to Josh Petty that I said to George McIntyre. Come be the hero. You grew up a Tennessee fan. We're going to love you like our own. I don't care that you come from the state of Georgia. Come play for Tennessee and just look at the potential of this offensive line. If you get David Sanders and you get Jalen Matthews in the boat at your tackles, and then you've got Josh Petty, you've got Anthony Agamora, you've got Nick Moore. Talk about a great haul for Glenn Ellerby, a great haul for Josh Heupel on the offensive line in the class of 2025. But the point of the video, are guys really trending away? Because that's what I keep seeing. Or is it just official visit season? Tennessee's got a lot of guys going to be in town on June the 14th and June the 21st. And guess what? That's where we're going to see a lot of love for Tennessee. But I wanted to put this video out real quick. I want you guys to jump in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about all this stuff. And as always, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up on the way out the door. Shout out to you members. If you got a Power T beside your name in the live chat or in the comment section, thank you for supporting this channel. Could not do it without you guys. You want to be a part of that, hit that join button. It's right beside subscribe. You can do that for just $1 a month. You want to give a little more, we would greatly appreciate it. But that is going to do it for this one. Hope you guys have a great Monday. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.